Hey guys, just wanted to share my Moze build with you. Made this build in an attempt to get away from, that grenade meta thing that's going around that you just stand in a corner and you throw nades everywhere. It didn't really look like a build that I would really get behind. I tried it and I didn't like it. So I ended up going through quite a few hundred different weapons, all kinds. And then I came across this guy, the Flakker, and this gun is pretty busted as a standard. I mean, it shoots it's 5 ammo at 1365 times 3 per ammo consumed. Like, it's an insane amount of damage. It's got this sweet spot where you can just blow everything up in the middle of it, right? So it's not just like a point and click, although a lot of people feel it is. There is a sweet spot you want everybody to be in. So playing around trying to get people in that sweet spot is what makes this build really fun for me. That, and it just deals insane amounts of damage. Um, as far as the skill tree is concerned, we really go heavy into the red tree, right? Um, don't really kind of dip into green, right? And then we do a little bit. I think actually blue has the least amount of points. But we'll start off in the red tree. We take armored infantry simply because damage reduction and gun damage, you can't beat it. It's literally free damage reduction. All you have to do is take the points and you get it. It's so nice. Um, Drowning in brass is a huge damage bonus to your whole team. Like, if you're playing solo, it's huge to you. If you're playing with allies, it's huge to everybody. You get 20% damage per stack while losing just a little bit of fire rate. Stacks 3 times. It really, that fire rate loss, you don't even notice it. Um, then we're going to take 3 points into Thin Red Line. This takes away 60% of your max health and then turns it into shield. And you'll see how that interaction works out in just a minute. It ends up being a ridiculous amount of shield that we get. We're going to take 3 points into Vladov Ingenuity, and this gives us 18% shield and shock damage resistance. Now, the shock damage resistance, because of a shield that I've chosen to use, doesn't really matter for this build, but the max percentage of shield, it being at 18%, is actually quite massive, right? And then we're going to take experimental munitions. It's a 1 point skill, gives you 10% um, of damage dealt as bonus incendiary damage. And while the Flakker itself doesn't crit, we throw nades, right? And we throw nades in order for the nades to crit so that it regens our ammo. And I'll talk about that in just a minute when we get over to the green tree. Um, so in doing this, our nades proc extra damage. So it's just a little bit more damage output overall, right? It also helps us to get down here, which is really nice. Then we're going to take 3 points in Desperate Measures. This is an absolutely mental thing to have for this build, given that we're sitting at 1 health at all times. So we have 50% gun damage all the time. It's super nice. It's just, again, free damage. Now, Fenwick's Doctrine. This is a skill that I don't see a whole lot of Moze taking, and I really wish everybody would take it because it's actually pretty dumb. You get 10% gun damage and 15% max shield for 30 seconds after every kill, and it stacks, and it has no stack cap. So if you get like a really good clean set of kills, you could have 100% plus gun damage and 150% plus max shields, making you extremely lethal and very tanky. Now, the next point we're going to place is going to be in force feedback. Right? Now, this is whenever Moze scores a critical kill, her shields immediately begin to recharge. Now, while, again, the Flakker doesn't crit, our laser sploders in the build that we do use can crit, and our nades crit. And a lot of the times, our nades will get kills off the side that we're not even paying attention to, so it's really nice for that. Your shields will just start recharging at random, which is pretty good for survivability's sake, right? Then the last one, this is huge for our build because we have 1 health, right? So we want to avoid hitting that 1 health point as much as possible. And this one as soon as your shields break, you get 40% of your max shield back, and you get 30% gun damage for 30 seconds. Now, that is insane, right? Now, it's not very often that our shields hit that, but when we do hit that, it is pretty nuts. It's a good little boost to damage, and you're immediately pumped back up to almost half shields. Right. Now, on to our green tree, right? So, Cloud of Lead, this is literally just every fourth shot we get 11.25% damage bonus, and it doesn't consume ammo, right? Which is nice. It just means a little bit easier time managing ammo over the course of a long fight, right? And then next point we're going to be putting in is 3 points into Stoke the Embers. This is literally just 30% bonus incendiary damage, and it's super nice. Well, actually, it's not bonus, sorry. It's just extra. It's nice. Next point is the big one for our ammo regen. This is why we take the point in nades critting and why we take the damage bonus on crits on the other tree. Now, this is after Moze scores a critical hit, she regenerates ammo for a few seconds, and it's 10% of your magazine because of the class mod we're using. We have an extra point in there, and it's actually quite nice. It's 10% over 3 seconds, which with the Flakker's fire rate is enough to keep you at infinite ammo forever, so long as you have a nade out at least like 50% of the time. On to the blue tree. We have Fire in the Skag Den. Okay, now this is, again, just bonus incendiary damage whenever we deal splash damage. Now, given that the only thing we deal is splash damage, that's 15% bonus incendiary to everything we do. Down here we get Means of Destruction. Now this is where when you deal splash damage, you have a chance to add a grenade or ammo to your current clip or your magazine or your grenade stock, right? Now, in doing this, it is another way to help us keep ammo flowing at all times, so we never have to reload. Torg Cross Promotion, all splash damage dealt by Moze has a chance to double in size. While 15% seems like a small amount to increase splash damage double, or for a chance to double your splash damage, right? It's not as small as you'd think, and it's actually a critical talent to take for a Flakker build. The Flakker has so many explosions that the more times that you can get that double radius, the more likely you are to one-shot a target in the middle, right? And I tried a couple of build setups without this, and it really, you can feel it. You can feel having this talent if you're using a Flakker. Now this point right here is actually from our relic, or our class mod, sorry. And this allows grenades to crit. This is part of why we take the class mod we do, and I'll talk about the class mod in a minute. Now this allows grenades to crit, which then allows grenades to get that bonus incendiary damage and proc the ammo regen from the other tree. Now, I am in love with this setup because you have infinite ammo, right? And you hit really, really hard. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask, so what do we use Iron Bear for? We literally get in him and get out of him to proc anointments, and that's it. You don't use Iron Bear. You can use him as like an oh shit, like, hey, I'm going to die, hop in Iron Bear for a second, get some regen, and then hop out. So whatever you put here is just personal preference for whatever you want to play with. Now into the actual items we use. Okay, we'll start off with our main gun. Pointed this out at the beginning. Consumes 5 ammo, and 1365 times 3. So it's 1365 times 3, 5 times per shot. Now the anointment I have on this allows me to deal 125% more weapon damage to badasses, named, and boss enemies for a short time, roughly 10 seconds after I get out of my bear, right? So it's pretty massive. And then we've of course got our laser exploders. So we've got fire, ice, and corrosive. Now each of these serves their own purpose, right? So this is for health. This is just to slow a big guy down if I have to, and this one's to bring down armor off of targets if needed. Now 95% of the time I don't actually need to use these ever, really. I almost always exclusively use my Flakker. There are very few modifier situations where these are more beneficial to us than this, but when they happen, it's nice to have these. Right now, all of these are world drops. You can get them from any place, boss farming, anywhere, doesn't matter. Right now, into our shield choice, the transformer. This makes it so any shock damage that hits us, instead of being absolutely lethal to shields, which it is, it heals us, as well as 40% chance to absorb incoming bullets and add them to our ammo count, which is another way to help us keep our ammo maxed out. Now, with this one being anointed, we have extra 75% increased shields and health after exiting Iron Bear. And we get that for 25 seconds, which is actually long enough to have it up at all times, guys. Like, it's actually crazy, right? So that's like your hunt for that, right? Down here, we've got a recurring hexnade with Merv on it. So this allows us to throw out one grenade that actually splits into 6, which gives us an insane chance to get ammo back, right? Meaning you have to throw them less often and this or that. You can use normal hexes. You can really use any grenade you want, but a hexnade is going to be your best bet, whether it's just a Merv hex, a hex, or a recurring hex. It will be your best nade for this build setup. I would recommend going with the lightning variant of it, although you can go with any type of damage you want. It's a personal choice. Now our ring here, which I actually need to favorite that one, is a Snowdrift Deathless. Now this is something I've been messing around with for just a little while today. Now I've been running this, and it's really good if you have issues dying or you just want an extra layer of security every 40 seconds. You get 5 seconds of immunity. It's pretty nice, right? But I prefer this one just because, movement. It's really nice to be able to get around very quickly. Now, we take deathless artifacts specifically so it reserves all but 1 health, and then we get 100% extra shield capacity and plus 25 shield recharge rate, and then it recharges 20% sooner. Now that is insane when you're talking about the fact that we are a shield only build. We have no health pool because we're sitting at 1 health, right? And it works. It's so nice. We have crazy huge shields and we deal a lot of damage. Now the class mod. We take the Blastmaster, right? And we take this one specifically because it gives us that green trait redistribution that allows us to double the ammo back percentage wise. Instead of 5%, we get 10 when we crit. And then it gives us our nade crit perk, and then that worthless one that heals you health wise when you hit with nades, because we don't use that talent at all. So, but the main reason we actually take it is because the longer you go without reloading, the more splash damage you deal. So we effectively just deal double damage at all times. And this one's really nice because, I got extra splash damage on it and mag size, both of which are great. I wish I had a better third talent, but that will come in time. Now that we've gone through all of the items and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and start up some music and get into a run through here so you can see what we're doing with the build and how it works. All right. Now, what were those modifiers? That actually felt pretty bad. So lower regen, minus 70% to normal bullets, which keep in mind the Flakker actually counts for that, which is really crappy. Oh, and they take less damage from normal bullets and attacks. So that was actually a really bad set for this build. So with it proving to be able to clear that with relative ease, you can imagine what it will do in higher tier, or well, not in higher tier, I'm in highest tier. So in better mods, it'll perform much better, right? Now, if you like the build, don't forget to subscribe. Hit me up on my Twitch. I stream pretty much every night. So, hope to see you guys around. Take care.